And Trae, we don't have to worry about squirrels in Chula Vista to the south because the coyotes roam free through our neighborhood, snatching them up. Oh, we're not worried about squirrels. We have these nice coyotes that take care of them. Bitch, give me the squirrels.
Give me the squirrel. I want the squirrels. Give me the squirrel. Bitch, give me the squirrels. All right, well, here we are, everybody. We're back. Airheads, I'm back. I missed last week. I heard that it hit in my absence. That's hard to believe, I know, but...
People love Kirby.
I reckon they pulled it off anyway, but here I am back in the saddle, being fat and sassy and dumb and sad. There's Corey, my co-host. We're here in the Virtual Airstream Studios.
Do you know something?
It's putting on airs. What's up?
This is a coincidence. I also am fat and not happy and sad. Me too.
Yeah. We got a whole thing going here.
Yeah, matter of fact, can I tell you something? I wasn't going to say this until I knew that I was on the other side of it, because I had a feeling once I brought it up, somehow I would just feel so much shame that it ended up being worse. So as you know, and as you're a huge fan of, I'm currently in the middle of what I assume to be my 8th fat, something like that. And some people be like, no, you've had more than 8 fats. It's like, no, it's just that some of them fats lasted, they had tenure.
They also they're wavy and
they're
shape.
Wavy.
Some some fats last years, and they isolate back and forth throughout, but it still counts.
Yeah. Well, luckily I'm back down, not to my target weight at all, but just to a weight that I'm like, okay, well, at least this is not that. I came this close to doing something I've never done in my life, which is hit 250. I got real close.
Oh, really?
I got fucking and I did, when you be fatting, especially if you be drinking, you just 3 months just disappears and you look down and go, what? What happened? It just gets away from you. And so you didn't check in between to see, you notice your clothes getting a little tighter and you're like, yeah, I'm probably about 10 pounds away from and then you check and you're like, wow, what have we? Damn. If I hadn't have, within a
quarter band. You don't want to be a quarter band, baby.
And I'm way down. I've lost some weight. I'm to where I'm like, all right, at least if I have a gluttonous weekend, I'm not, because that was the thing. I was like one fat meal away from being that.
I know everybody that deals with all this knows all this and everything, and then people that don't deal with this are like, here they go again. But dude, the worst parts about fucking all that shit is that it
hits.
Well, yeah. It hit. Shit just be too seasoned. As we both know to be true. Season. But B, the speed and efficiency with which you can completely undo
everything
and erase
years of dedication,
years of hard work and dedication and results.
It's unbelievable.
Is truly, evidenced for a cruel and uncaring God. This one is actively trolling us because it is not right. I've told the story before. I think maybe it was on Well Read, but I went from late in the pandemic, because during the pandemic I ballooned. That's the closest I ever got to a deuce and a half. I was up to 235.
I lost a lot of weight. I was the opposite.
And about, I don't remember when it was, late October 2021 or something like that. Katie bought a Peloton and stuff, and then I started going back down, and I lost a bunch of weight. And then early last year, I was in the 180s again for the first time since college.
Wasn't hitting for me.
And then I decided that I was going to try to gain some muscle.
Bulk,
without gaining any fat, because that's easy to do, especially for
not the hardest thing a 40-year-old could do.
Right, exactly. The hard, even people who do that almost for a living, they just gain muscle and fat and then cut the fat off.
The reason that they
acknowledge it's almost impossible to even do that, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, the whole reason you can make a living doing it is because of how much we marvel at its impossibility. You know what I mean?
So I was but I guess I was riding high and thinking my shit didn't stink or something, because I had been doing so good for so long at that point, for like 2 years or something, and I was down so much, and I was like, no, I'd be all right. I'm just going to try to gain some muscle without gaining any fat. So I got some protein and some creatine and all this stuff. And I started lifting weights, and it just, I'm talking 6 weeks max, just completely evaporated the 2 years of progress that I'd made before that, because I gained weight quick, no muscle that I could tell. I just made myself fat again in no time.
Hey, but you could push somebody around.
And what made me, the worst part about it was like, I chose to do, like, I didn't like go off the rails or nothing.
You were dedicated.
Right. I was like, no, I'm making a conscientious decision to do this. And it just ruined everything.
Yeah.
And then after that, since then that I've been, I got back down from the heights of that, but not down. I'm about like 195-ish probably. So I'm somewhere in the middle, and that's where I've been basically ever since.
Me and your hearts are just shoveling coal.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, we don't know what to do. Well, anyways.
Everybody always says the whole yo-yo diet thing is like one of the worst things possible for a person's health. Fat. Right. And it's like, well, I ain't got much longer than I can't.
me either. I'm such different. There's never been a driver's license picture or any annual type picture that of me that has looked the same as the year before, ever.
No, I know. I've looked like so many different people over the course of my life. It's
me too.
Insane, mostly because of fat.
I brought up shit being too seasoned and how much stuff just hits for me because I wanted to show you this thing and tell you the game has been changed. All right, the egg game has been changed. All right, so I saw this clip on Instagram of it was Joe Rogan talking to some European. I don't know if he had an accent and he sounded like he was very much an authority on food, like he was a chef guy. And he was telling Rogan about the best omelet that he'd ever had and how to do it. And I was like, well, I'm going to try that shit. So I did, right? And look, first off, look how pretty. It's so beautiful. Little cute little, got my omelet there with the parsley on top of it. It's absolutely adorable. Looks Michelin star. How the fuck you think I did that?
I don't know.
Well, again,
I know it's not. It's not the omarise.
No, that Japanese one. No, Japanese, dude. I know that's supposed to be more than one try.
Yeah, I was about to say that's supposed to be legidarily difficult.
I want to do it because that's the one where you slit it like a placenta and it goes.
It just egg flop. Yeah,
I want that flop.
It busts all over your rice.
It busts. Yeah. Anyways, I was very skeptical because the way that you make this is you take one egg. And you take you a little ramekin, if a bowl of soup, like if a bowl that you'd put soup in was less than that, like a cup, but it ain't a cup, it's a bowl that's the size of a cup, Yeah,
them little ramekin, 4-ounce ramekin. Probably.
Yeah, sure. My Corningware. You take one egg, put it in that. You take a spoonful of mayonnaise, you put that in there. Then you whisk all that together, and it'll form like a custard, whatever. You put it in the microwave for 40 seconds, and that's the whole thing. That's it. That's fucking, dude. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. I'm sitting there looking at it, and at like 20 seconds, it's just sitting there, and I'm like, this ain't going to be. In the last 10 seconds, this motherfucker go whoop and just rise like a goddamn Yorkshire pudding. And you just take the ramekin, hit the bottom, flop it out. It looks all beautiful like that. And it's, dude, you don't even have to put salt. I mean, I put a little pepper on it, no salt because the mayonnaise, you know what I mean? The flavor of that, it turns into this custard, and it's the perfectly cooked like omelet, like it's like if a creme brulee was egg instead of dessert. You know what I mean? Like it's 40 seconds, dude. Right. All that whole process took about 1 minute and 10 seconds, and that is on my plate. A nice, perfect little omelet. I don't think I'm ever scrambling again.
Is it got some kind of sauce on it or something in your picture?
No. What I did was I took a stick of butter once it was done. I glossed it. You know how they be doing for the photo shoots and stuff. I glossed it with butter so it would shine.
For the photo shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just for the gram. It's just so it looks good. Yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah, but you immediately blotted it all off with paper towel before you ate it, obviously.
Because I've always done that. If I ever made an omelet, you grease the top of it with butter. Well, I just did that with this butter, and it sort of, it melted and sort of made like a eggy-looking sauce. But best shit, like one of the best egg dishes I've ever had. It took me 1 minute and 10 seconds from start to finish in my mouth. That
I mean,
insane?
that's wild. That's just wild.
No.
I'd heard, like, I just saw some other dude on Reddit shitty food porn talking about how he exclusively microwaves his eggs.
Yeah.
And it looked like,
disgusting.
Something out of a sewer. Yeah, he was mixing something else with it. It wasn't just microwaved eggs. He was putting like fucking chia seeds or something in it that turned it like a weird gray color, and it was a straight up abomination.
Well, this is an example, by the way, also of how accent. We talked about this before. How accents the way somebody says something will affect how I think about it. Like when our accent, everything comes out of our mouth, everybody assumes it's dumb, and for Brits and stuff, we've just assumed everything they said is smart. Well, this particular European accent that this guy had, I'm like, why wouldn't he know about this? You know what I mean? Like if somebody that looked or sounded like us was talking about, you just put the thing in the microwave with a thing of mayonnaise, and I'd be like, man, this is some fucking trailer trash bullshit. But like he said it, and I'm like, this is high class.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you bring that up. It's been a running theme in recent weeks talking about the impact of accents, and how the last time I was on here, we were talking about how, like, remember I had that clip of Boris Johnson saying inveterate supine jellies or whatever he said or whatever. Yeah. And we were talking about, like, even their dumb people over there are smart or whatever. Yeah. But also saying, it's like, I used to have a bit about, it's like everybody thinks, they sound smart when they talk, but dude, the ones that they have that are dumb are some of the most rock chewing dumb motherfuckers on planet Earth, and nobody ever thinks about them. We've been talking about all that a lot recently. Well, I saw some clips that are directly related to that.
Oh, please
show at least one of them.
Man, we're killing the segues and didn't even plan them.
Can you see that?
I can.
Okay. As always, tell me if you can't hear it, but if you can hear it, let's just watch it. Here we go.
What do you think about Brexit?
What's that? Like,
where we're leaving the European Union.
I seriously don't have a clue.
It was to leave the EU, so we wouldn't be part of Europe.
EU, which would mean like welfare and like things we trade with would be cut down.
So does that mean we won't have any trees?
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 Oh.
No, that's got nothing to do with it, babe. Why wouldn't we have trees?
We're just not in the European Union. We're still classed as like being in Europe.
Doesn't it mean it would be harder to like go to like Spain and stuff?
So it'd be harder to go on holidays?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I love my holidays.
Yeah.
Send them to Congress, bro.
Right. Yeah. So, no more trees. That's got nothing to do with it, babe. That's weather.
What is the thought process?
No, you're thinking of weather.
That nothing to do with a union.
Oh my God, dude!
I always try to figure out what a dumb person's like. Well, okay, let me game this backwards and go. Why would they have thought that? And I got nothing for. Does that mean no trees? Like,
yeah, because what she said, it's like welfare
and stuff we trade with,
and things we trade with would go down. That's the last thing that was said that led into. So we wouldn't have any more trees.
Like, she thinks they import all the trees. We don't have trade anymore.
You trade with the trees. I don't fucking know, dude. But yes, that's weather. This is also kind of directly related to not only the larger conversation, but like that clip that we just watched. So this is the second one that I've found. I guess it's the same show. I don't know. That apparently was from Love Island, which originated in England. That's one
of them super dumb shows.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like we don't even think about them having those shows, but they do. It's like, like when we had Jersey Shore, they had, and they still do have a thing called Geordie Shore.
No.
I sent you that clip. I need to try to find that clip. Maybe I'll try to find it without spoiling it. But I sent to you, and it was that guy who was being real sweet to his woman and she thought he was going to propose.
Yeah.
And then something else happened.
Yes.
That's from Geordie Shore. But it's literally just the British version of. I don't watch the show. I just see these clips on social media. But it's like literally
Shore? Like it's called like there's an actual
Geordie Shore. Yeah, like they got all these words that are like, am I sharing this now?
Yeah,
you're watching me.
Yeah. Wait, no, I can't. I see a lovely looking British lady that says Essex on her face.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been 25 seasons of Geordie Shore.
Dang, is that how old Jersey Shore is?
I guess so. It's in Newcastle upon Tyne. I guess I'm saying that right.
Yeah. They got a lot of upon stuff.
Yeah. Well, they used to have to tell you what stuff was
On. Yeah,
this is on
true.
a river. This is on a hill.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know why is it. I don't know why it's called Geordie. What does Geordie mean? Yeah.
Were you not showing your clip?
Do what?
Were you? Did you already show me this clip?
No, I didn't. You just we got a person from Tyneside, an area in northeastern England. I don't even know if I'm Tyneside. You think that's how I say it?
Tyneside. Yeah,
a variety of the old Northumbrian dialect. And as we've noted before, in England, it's reversed from what it is over here. In England, their dumbasses are in the north, right?
Yes, exactly.
So their northeast is dumb shit. Now, of course, I mean Jersey is our northeast, and they're real dumb in that show.
It's so funny. That's the first thing we were told in England. Literally, the first thing. Like we had just got on that boat off the airplane, and we had mentioned something, and we were like, they had made a joke about their Northerners being dumbasses, right? Didn't the boat lady make a joke about it?
Yeah, she did. She made like a joke. She made a joke about their Northerners in England that was like equivalent to the type of thing people would say about Southerners here. Yeah. And we were like, what? And we were like, and then when we went and did the sets that we did at the comedy shows, I got up there before I went into my European thing. I said something like, I was like, so let me get this straight. So apparently over here, y'all keep your dumbasses in the north, right? Yeah. And they got like a real big laugh. Yeah. Cause I think it was just because like, just that by itself, they're like, we do keep our dumbasses in the north.
Dude.
Or if they also realized I was, drawing a comparison to how that's the opposite in America.
I was about to say, I think they got I think the latter, but also the former would have totally been just fine and would have worked. Because like there's anytime if you're a comedian and you want to get that cheap heat, like you're traveling, you want to get that cheap heat, you just ask one of the locals like, hey, where we're at, what's y'all's like rival town that y'all think are dumbasses? And like, as soon as they tell you, all you got to do is be like, man, I'm glad to be here. I had to drive through insert dipshit town here and it stinks. And like, that's enough. Yeah. That's enough. They'll be like, yeah, fuck them. They do.
Yeah. Yep. All right, here we go. Finally, at long last, I'm going to show this clip here.
Essex is a continent.
No, it's a county.
Oh, what, a country?
A county.
What's the difference between a county and a country?
So country is like England.
Yeah. So Wales is in Cardiff. No, Cardiff's the capital of Wales.
Yeah.
So I'm from Liverpool, so I live in a country.
No, Liverpool's a city.
A city.
Yeah.
If you go on a plane and go to another place, that's still United Kingdom, isn't it?
Depends where. Where do you want to go?
So Spain.
That's not United Kingdom. That's Europe.
But it's still in the United Kingdom.
No, Europe is a continent.
It's in the EU. It's in Europe. It's in Europe.
Essex.
Well, she's lucky she's a handsome bird, isn't she?
Yeah, I was about to say, they seem like a great time to me. They seem like a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Dude, speaking of which, they got a new one over here. I don't know if you've heard about her. She's actually a little controversial, and I think this deserves to be brought up because I'd say the high-end escorts, that's pretty fancy, like of all where the famous porn stars be, it's like most of them you think of as being American, and then it's like Mia Khalifa came out of nowhere, hip jobbed up. So that was that's something. She was like, I don't know.
I don't know if she came out of nowhere entirely. Well, she was kind of seizing a bit of a moment. I would argue
that's true. Yeah.
As I don't know, Phil. I think we've said it publicly before. Anyway, I might even say it on Skews, but for people that watch Skews or the Extended Skew Universe, a smart Mark once said in our group chats when Mia Khalifa came up, quote, if it wasn't for 9/11, Mia Khalifa would just be the hottest bartender at Chili's.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I had forgotten about that, and I did not see that coming, and that's so fucking funny.
Yeah, very Mark, anyways, too.
I don't so Mark. God, I'm clipping that out. I don't think, like, off the top of your head, name the best British porn stars ever. Can't do it, can you?
No, but do you think that applies the way it does with, like, Hollywood movies and stuff? Do you think you think they know our porn stars, or do you think they got like their own hitters over there and
I don't know, but
everybody's got their own porn ecosystem, or are we leading the vanguard that too?
I'm a disgusting. We definitely lead in the vanguard. I'm a disgusting
sure.
boy, so I know off top several English women, but like most, they're not in the zeitgeist like Jenna Jameson was, and like you know what I'm saying? Like, but there's one now who's like probably the most famous porn star on earth at this moment, and her name's Bonnie Blue. Have you heard about this young lady? She's a 26-year-old bird from over there in England, and she has become a little controversial because she. Just as she puts it, not me, she believes that her hole is for everyone. She's offered up her hole to everyone. A couple months back, she had 1,000 dudes in one day rail her, right?
I heard about that happening. So that was Bonnie Blue that did that?
Yeah, and she wants to play too here in a couple months and take 2,000 wieners in here. Now, again, I don't think, if you want to have 2,000 wieners in you and we're all consenting adults, that's totally cool, whatever. But one thing that was a little gross, and this is a very double standard thing, is that she wanted a bunch of people. She said she wanted as many people, like it was their 18th birthday. She wanted a bunch of 18th birthday boys to come rail her. So, like, minutes legal and stuff like that. And everybody's calling her disgusting and stuff like that. And she's like, what? They're 18. Who cares? And, like, I mean, I don't even like to say it.
She's 26.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know it's a little different.
Yeah,
but it's just the way she says
it.
Like,
they're of legal age. B, she's fucking barely an actual adult anyway.
Dude, I hear you. I'm just saying, like, that would be a completely different thing if the shoe was on the other foot. But it's the word. It'd be one thing if she said, yeah, 18-year-olds are fine, but the way she's like, I want them when they just turned. You know what I mean? It's a little weird. But anyways,
well, I can't believe she's. Might be somewhat morally compromised. The most famous gangbanger of all time, or what?
It's so funny. There was this lady, this British lady, interviewing her, and dude, let me tell you something. Don't get me wrong. One day her eyes will look shot out and dead, I'm sure, but right now, nothing but visions of sugar plums. I mean, she's having a ball. This Bonnie Blue, and she was in this interview with this lady, and this lady was like, don't you feel ashamed? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And she's like, well, what is it? What is it about it that you like? She's like, well, when I did the 1,000 dude gangbang, she's like, I didn't know any of them. And like, sometimes I'd be getting hit doggy and I'd turn around and I was like, who are you? And she's like, it's just wonderful. And I just thought, like, God damn, to be that free one day of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. That's wild. So yeah, she says on the 15th of June, she's going to be tied up in a glass box open to the public.
That glass box going to stink, boy.
Oh yeah.
Filled
with stank. I mean that, but how do you? What is?
I don't know.
There's no.
Got to be one pump each. You know what I mean? Because there's not that much time in the day.
Exactly.
How many seconds is in a day? Huh? Get it out. I've got to figure out how many dicks she's got to take per minute.
Right. So 60 seconds in 1 minute times 60 minutes in 1 hour is 3,600 seconds in an hour times 24. 86,400 seconds in a day.
Okay. So divide that by 2. Or no, wait, you divide that by 2,000 to see how many, right? To see how many seconds.
Why'd you do this to us?
No,
you got us into doing actual fucking math live on the show. It's really going to out both of us as fucking dumbasses right? who've forgotten how everything works.
You take the total number of seconds and divide that by 2,000, and that will be how many seconds is allotted for each of the 2,000 men, correct?
Total number of seconds in a day divided by 2,000 men.
Yeah.
Is they each get 43 seconds, less than a minute. But
hey, that's fine. You can do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's actually more than enough time. But it says that it said her first stunt, though. I don't know if this one will be, but apparently the first stunt was a 12-hour period. So, yeah, it was.
But that
half
was
the
1,000.
People. And so that would still be 43.
43 seconds. That's
they would have 43 seconds apiece for 12 hours. If this one's 12 hours, though, you get like 20 seconds apiece. But also, like, is there a sign-up process? If it's just open to the public, who's keeping score? Like, she has to have like assistants there or something.
Somebody there with one of them stopwatch things.
Is there any kind of regulation? Like, surely they all have to have a condom on, I assume, right? So is there a person there that's like a wiener checker to make sure that they are wearing a condom, like I have a lot of questions.
Is there a fluffer too? Because porn usually has fluffers. Is there one person that has to like sort of jiggle every dick before it goes over to her to make sure that it's stiffy?
Yeah, you got to check it to make sure it's
because it's got to go in. Yeah,
right,
I don't know, man.
In or it don't count. But also, like every day, when we were like teenagers and shit, the concept like sloppy seconds was like, a thing people would say. Imagine like
that's true.
Sloppy 1500s, or 1750s, and I don't really care. I mean, I'm gonna be nowhere near this event, but I'm saying like, people, alpha male bros are so insane.
She was saying like, "Come on, everybody."
Alpha male bros are so insane now that they literally like act like if you have sex with a woman who some of them are like ever, but a lot of them are like just had sex with another man, that is gay.
It's gay, yeah.
Because your wiener is where another wiener was, and that's gay. Yeah. So like, I'm sure there's way more dirtbags who are like, even if they think that way, are willing to put it aside. just to take part in this. But I'm just saying, it's
dude,
it's the type of thing that a lot of dudes would act like they're not cool with.
Yeah. Even though if they were at a party drunk, they'd totally do it.
Right. Or I think maybe, in a public park in broad daylight in fucking Manchester or whatever. Like at the end of the day, like when their wiener starts talking to them or whatnot.
Oh, dude, when that wiener holler, shit, that's it. You know what I mean? Also, one thing we didn't consider, and then we can move on. And I don't know how long it would actually take for you to get in this position, but she could be doing 2 at a time and get, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that'd be even harder.
It'd be harder, yeah.
Because like the practicality, the logistics of making that happen with each pair of dudes would, I think, cost you more time.
I agree.
Than just going single file, pump, pass, or whatever. God love her. She seems fun.
One of Britain's own.
Yep. Just a good Christian girl.
Yep.
I had another thing I wanted to show you, and then we can get into tell you.
Okay.
I saw a fun fact on Instagram the other day, although I should, in the interest of fairness and intellectual honesty, say it seems it may have been more of a factoid, but we can talk about it. On Instagram the other day that said during the Edo period of Japan, which is from 1603 to 1868, during that time, it's like the classic like geisha and samurai period and stuff that you think of when you think of like the Victorian version of Japan.
It's
like the Edo version. During that time, rich upper class women in Japan would hire female servants that were called hiobakani or hiobakuni, who did a lot of shit for them. They were like a personal assistant thing, but one of their official tasks or responsibilities, obligations, was that they had to take the blame for their ladies' farts. Servant. So when you fart,
I'd be up to my ass and work all week, son. I'll tell you that. Busting my ass pretending these bitches' farts is mine. Goddamn, all day long. Wake up, pretend the bitch is farting mine. When I go to bed, I'm pretending the bitch's fart is mine.
And it's like, a lot of people immediately pointed out, which I think is an astute observation. It's like, if this is a known aspect of like, nobility's culture, whatever, like, wouldn't you just know? You know, like
you would assume every fart was a woman's fart.
Exactly. If you smell a fart and then some servant's like that, tee-hee, that was me, you're gonna be like, that wasn't. That was her mistress's fart. Yeah. You would just know that, but that's why like they messed up hiring other women to do it. If they'd hired fellers like you know, because we've talked before for years about how like
yep.
About how convincing you are in terms of a potential person who just farted. I.e., if you give any random lineup of individuals and any random assortment of Americans in a lineup, and you say which one of these people do you think farted, you're going to be 95th percentile probably.
Yeah, this guy right here.
So a Japanese noblewoman, if she had you beside her, then the cultural mores aside, people might still believe. I don't know. I kind of think that she didn't fart.
Eventually, they'd start to get worried about her. They'd be like, "This lady needs to fart. That guy right there, he's stay farting."
Yeah. Other people said it's like, well, what if the servant farts? But I don't think they would do that because
no, they can't.
They probably get their head chopped off or something. I would imagine. I'm not entirely sure how Japan did it, but
to the sword,
be forced to impale themselves and on their knees in front of their whole family or whatever, that type of thing. But like again, they had other stuff they had to do. But like, would you, how would you take that gig? Like
fart pretender?
Fart pretend again. You're not farting,
right?
You're just telling everybody that you farted.
Am I taken care of?
Yeah, I mean, well enough. As much as a servant was, and that.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, do I have any other options? If it's that, or actually have to serve? Because like, if that's all I had to do. Would just be the personal, I farted, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why not? They think I farted anyways. Why not get paid for it? They say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life,
Right. But
I can't fart.
But you can't fart. That's what I'm about to say. But what you love is farting.
Yeah.
And we're assuming in this scenario that the idea that if you actually were to fart in the presence of your mistress and her peers, they'd have you put to the sword or whatever. So you can't actually fart. You just have to say that you farted.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
As long as it was silent, do you think I could sneak one off after she just farted? You know what I mean?
Now you're thinking with your butthole.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, every time she farts,
I knew you'd figure this out pretty quick. I knew you'd make it. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Yes, you have to. But don't you assume that your mistress is also doing SBDs, silent but deadlies, also farting silently? Because if she's just letting what my dad and his buddies used to call a triple flutter blast go, if she's just doing that,
I know exactly how it sounds.
Right? Yeah. If she's doing that, you're kind of like you're immaterial at that point as the fart pretender.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So if it's you've got to be so attuned to your mistress's farts.
Yeah, I can get there.
You have to know before anybody else knows that she has farted,
and then me fart,
and then immediately fart right then too.
I promise you this: if I'm having to hold all my other ones in all day, I probably got one on go. You know what I mean? I probably got one in the chamber.
Do you think in your excitement,
safety off?
You think in your excitement to get it out under the wire?
Oh yeah, it was in a fucking medieval Catholic church, just echoing off the fucking walls. That's the thing too. Basically, I would have to take this gig going. Yeah, I don't care if I live because, if I went. After lunch, if you told me you can't fart for 6 hours, I'd be in so much fucking pain. And also, then somebody could just kind of scare me. Like, when you get scared, your butthole, man, that's everybody's butthole at this point. It go loose, just like I'd fart and they would fucking make me seppuku myself. And I bet you when I stuck that blade in, I'd fart more.
Fart again. Yeah.
Can you imagine how hilarious that would be? Just fucking stab yourself in the belly. Everywhere.
That would be pretty undignified.
I don't know what Burns is going to use for the cold open. They said some good ones this past.
Okay, I got one more related thing, directly related to this, that I just want to show you that I have precious little actual details about, but it's related and funny. So here it is. I found this on Reddit. He gassing Japanese for farting competition or he gassing. He be gassing. It's like your equivalent of he hate me. Remember he hate me from the XFL? You've got that on the back of your fart boy jersey.
Yeah.
He be gassing. Japanese for farting competition or fart battle is a Japanese fart scroll created during the same period, the Edo period. The scroll features people farting in the direction of other people, animals, and other objects. And if you're only listening, you can't see. It's pretty clear what's happening. This guy's really going for it. Just ass naked, letting it rip, dude.
Balls out.
Leaving
there's
it all
nothing
on
left
the
to
field.
interpretation here. You know, it is what it is.
No, this guy farted through a wall. Took these people. Look, like literally, there's the piece of the wall. Like he blew a hole in the wall with his fart.
Look at that guy got a fan. Like that's going to do you good.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's shoo wee.
By the way, fart scroll is what I call it when I'm looking at Instagram on the toilet.
Oh, that's what. Okay, let's see. So I said earlier, so I had to acknowledge that first thing. At least. The very least, it's debatable whether that's actually true or not. The like fart pretenders, unfortunately, and right now, let's see here. I
don't want to know if it's
he gassing is very real.
That's such a great name for it.
Yeah, it's either we're probably saying it wrong. I'm sure. Hey gassing. I don't know. How do you? It's either he gassing or ho he gassing. He gassing. Our title's given to a Japanese art scroll created during the Edo period by an unknown artist depicting flatulence humor. Yeah. So I mean, that's
here's one.
Farts have just always hit for people. Which
I got one for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to file this in the things that, as soon as I say it, and as soon as we start doing it, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, that's racist."
Okay.
But like, no, it ain't.
Should be a weekly segment.
Like, come on, it's not racist. Like, I'm just, which I don't know if I should say continent or country. Do you think people farts be the worst? You know what I mean? Like, I was sitting here thinking about like an Asian fart, and I was like, I don't know if I've never. I mean, I don't think I've ever smelled an Asian person's fart. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm just like, I'm sure that rednecks and black people, we got a very similar fart going, and it probably don't hit.
It's hard for me to believe that anybody more stinky butted than Drew Morgan.
Well, dude, he's
Redcoat.
He's
one of one. He's a generational talent.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you can't even judge the rest of us by him because it's unfair to everybody else.
It ain't right. And honestly, I remember several times when Drew farted, I was like, "You seem like you from a different country, dog." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a foreign fart. Like nobody's. Because I feel like, just like with human faces, people look alike. We have like 7 standard shapes of a head, and then it's just like the hair color will make you different. But if a couple of them all line up, you and somebody going to look like each other.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the same.
Proper, and by proper, I mean like fancy. Like fancy, like Japanese people or whatever. The type who nowadays, if it was still the custom, might have a fart pretender.
Yeah.
I feel like they're eating all like bluefin tuna and
but sometimes they,
but some of them
fish butt don't hit.
Yeah, I know, but they eat like high end fish butt, like fish eggs and that type of shit. But some of them Asian people over there, and you were right, it's definitely going to sound racist, I'm sure. But like the ones that be out in the woods and shit,
just eating a raw
wilderness,
duck.
They eat like whole frogs dipped in vinegar and stuff. Right, let me pour this fish juice into this frog's open mouth and then dunk it in vinegar and eat the whole goddamn thing, like that type of shit. And it's like, ain't no way their butts don't be stinking. I feel like.
I mean, dude, in Vietnam they eat them baby boy piss eggs. You know what I mean? We talked about that on here.
I don't know, but you're right. Is it Vietnam or is that China or is it both? Or
I could have sworn it was Vietnam. Me and you showed each other the video like probably 7 years ago, and so I haven't. I don't remember. I just knew it was over there, but I thought it was Vietnam. But anyways, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, apparently somewhere in Asia there's a tradition where they put buckets out at school so that all the little boys can piss in them. And then they take that piss and they soak eggs in them for a while and let them ferment in the piss. And then they aren't doing anything with the boys or nothing. The boys just pee. And I'm not defending it. It's weird as shit. But they soak them in boy piss and then they eat them and it's supposed to heal you or something.
They don't just soak them. They're hard boiled in boy piss, I reckon.
Yeah. Like that's somehow grosser.
Remember we had that whole idea. Well, it is Chinese, by the way. I mean, it's only a region of China, not the whole country. But remember when we used to talk about
hitting eggs?
Hitting eggs. It's going to be a business venture of ours, which is just where you make hard boiled eggs in things that hit. So kind
like
of
spaghetti sauce,
like the antithesis, spaghetti sauce and chili and that sort of thing. Various broths.
Yeah, you soak them in there for a while, like they do with them. The Japanese do with the soy sauce or whatever.
Maybe some thin buffalo sauce.
Oh God, dude! Hey, I had a buffalo deviled egg the other day with like blue. It was buffalo sauce in it and sprinkled blue cheese all over it. Woo! I normally don't stray from the classics when it comes to deviled eggs, but whoo-wee! So yes, I'm all about a thin layer of buffalo sauce in that membrane.
Well, how's this? Speaking of piss eggs and all that, just to hopefully help with some of the incoming racism allegations and fucking Florgan Bjorgen people up there in Scandinavia, they eat like piss fish and stuff. Like we said, Sir Strom, they'll bury a shark in the tundra for 8 months and then come back and have a party. Like, dude, they're fucking. They gotta have gnarly farts. I feel like.
Of course, I agree. Right. I agree. Like, I'm not, we started with Asians, but I definitely don't think they're the worst because, them Herbie Derby people, honestly, they're the number one seed right now.
Right.
I figure Germans probably do. They drink a lot of beer, the kraut, the hot dogs, all that. That's probably a bad fart, Okay, then poor little people in Africa probably only get to fart once a year. I know that. You know what I mean? But they eat ant burgers, and I don't know, I don't know how that makes it fart. See, that's the thing. I can't even begin to fathom how a diet of bugs would make your fart smell.
What about cow blood?
Cow blood probably makes it smell a little.
I think it's the Maasai tribe. which is like a famous sub-Saharan African tribe that's like they're like legitimately badass and they do I don't know all the things they do. I just know that they do like hardcore shit. But one thing that they do, if I have the right tribe, is they are somewhat nomadic. They go around different places and they bring a cow with them that sort of has like they got like a cow kegerator on it.
Yeah.
Like a tap, basically, where it's like they just open up
like
the cow.
Like how you put in a maple tree.
They open up a cow and just tap some of its blood into a upturned shell or whatever, and they drink all that, and they like, that's their
meal?
Yeah, or at least it's at least like a Slim Fast or something, like a Soylent. You know what I mean? It tides them over or whatever, but like, what's that do for you?
I don't know,
I don't mean nutrition. I mean you fart wise.
That's gotta be bad.
I'm exclusively speaking fart wise here.
No, I bet it's bad because it'd be irony. It'd probably be pretty gamey. Mm-hmm. That ain't a good fart. Now, if we can't figure out country wise, I mean, we could do regions of the U.S. Like I know the South be having some bad farts because I've been here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I've also been on a New York subway that stank. Now, granted, you can't say that that's just all the fart because sometimes it's just the people. You know what I mean? But like they eat pizza, they eat street meats. That street meat fart, dude. Woo!
Yeah, street meat hits though.
Street meat does hit. Nebraska probably got some bad farts.
Corn make your fart stink?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Make your butt a BB gun if you don't watch out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right.
I
Whatever.
don't know. We might have to just table that till next time because
that's fine. That's enough on farts. We need to take a break.
Yep. I think we need to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
All righty. Man, I don't know if y'all are like me, and if you are, I'm very sorry. But like the very second that I walk outside, especially during this time of year in the South, I'm just immediately drenched in sweat. Like, heck, sometimes I just get out of the shower and I immediately start sweating. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm big, but whatever. It happens all the time. And so deodorant is kind of a big deal to me, always has been. And if you're someone struggling with the heat and humidity like me, I got great news because Mando has just launched something that takes sweat control to the next level. They've got a Mando Deodorant Plus Sweat Control Solid stick. It is double protection, and you get the odor control plus powerful sweat control. And I'll be putting it everywhere, and you can. It's fantastic. Don't wait. Grab yours now at shopmando.com and experience the double protection of Mando deodorant plus sweat control. Again, y'all, to me, it's a confidence thing. I always just felt gross when I be sweating a lot. But, I'm a super athletic guy. But this stuff, I keep it on me all the time. Trae, tell them more about our friends at Mando.
Oh, they got clinical strength sweat control over there at Mando. Just one swipe and you're good to go. It's not your typical deodorant, y'all. It's clinical strength. That means it's 2 times better at controlling sweat than the standard. It controls both sweat and stank. Sweat and stank both took care of for 72 hours. And after just 12 hours, underarm sweat was still reduced by 92%. The stuff works. It's made only with premium ingredients. It's not loaded with chemicals like other deodorants. It's just gentle mandelic acid, premium ingredients only, keeping you fresh and dry. Double protection, tackle both odor and sweat with Mando. And Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. For example, the mini body wash or the deodorant wipes, both of which are great. And free shipping, completely free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide when you use our exclusive code. Use the code POA at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. That's shopmando.com with the promo code POA. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. With deodorant plus sweat control, you can say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness.
Later, stank.
Say you stank. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat it up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. You've heard me talking about Factor for a while because I am a pretty big devotee. They do hit for me. I like the convenience of Factor mixed with the nutrition aspect they offer. You want something quick and easy for lunch, but you don't want to eat trash. Well, that can be hard to find. Not anymore. Not now that you found Factor, because that's what they do, baby. So you can get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors all day. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. They're perfect for any active lifestyle. They have over 45 weekly menu options, so you can pick gourmet meals that fit your own personal goals. You can choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more, all of which are great. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. So it's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in all the flavor with none of the fuss. Cho, what do you think about them?
Man, I love them, and there's a couple reasons I love them. Number one, it just tastes good. The French onion chicken's the bomb. Also, I learned that I'm a big fan of cauliflower rice, because even when I don't mash it up with cheese and make cauliflower mashed potato, I just like it. It's really good. I enjoy that. Their little drinks that they send me are amazing, but this is the big deal for me. I liked them before, but now that I got a 2-year-old kid, I genuinely don't know what my lunch would look like some days if it wasn't for Factor. You know what I mean? Because, it's just all hands on deck. And, I could just go in there and cram some cheese cubes in my face. But, with Factor, it's just as easy for me to get a freaking gourmet meal. It's wonderful, and there's absolutely no fuss. It's fantastic. Get started at factormeals.com/POA50 off and use code POA50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code POA50 off at factormeals.com/POA50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factor. It hits.
Well, we're back. What are we doing now, Cho?
Well, I wanted to tell you a couple things real quick before, if it's okay with you and we have time, I would like to talk a little bit about legendary actor and badass Christopher Lee, if that's okay with you. But before that, I would like to say that one thing this week in, quote, fancy, you're going to love this, Trae. A South Carolina woman was held on a domestic abuse charge for allegedly stabbing her common-law husband with a blank. Well, can you guess what she stabbed her husband with? Not a knife, not even anything remotely that you'd think would be a weapon.
Oh. Man, I don't know, and I'm assuming it's fancy. It's and
it's related to this show.
Oh, a stuffed squirrel?
a decorative ceramic squirrel.
Okay.
Stabbed that motherfucker plumb ass. Didn't kill him, though, so you know. It's still a felony, but she owned $10,000 cash bond. But anyways, yeah, she picked up a decorative a ceramic squirrel and stabbed this motherfucker with it.
Now, did she break it over a corner like they do with beer bottles in movies, you know? Because like you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Well, hold on. I'm trying to think. What if the tail was, you know, like
why would they make the tail of a ceramic squirrel pointy enough to stab somebody with?
That's a good question.
Like you could bludgeon somebody with a ceramic squirrel very easily, obviously, but to stab somebody with a ceramic squirrel, I feel like you'd have to do that beer bottle maneuver.
Hold on, let's see here. The whole thing started, according to police,
because that's a very funny visual, by the way. Like thinking that, like a woman, like he said, he's like, you know, being such a fucking bitch, right? And then she picks up a squirrel and breaks it over a table and fucking,
dude,
stabs him in the shoulder with it or whatever. Like it's funny.
Reading down, Pat, there was this photo that sort of looked like it cut the article off, and I thought the article was done. But there's more to this, and you're pretty on the money. According to the police, this is from the local3news.com. According to the police report, Williams' 41-year-old husband was going to buy some beer on Tuesday night, and he returned home without any beer because the store was closed, and that enraged the woman. Like, it pissed her the fuck off that there was no beer, right? So her husband goes over to make himself a sandwich, thinking like, well, I can't drink, so I'm just going to make myself a sandwich. She picked up the ceramic squirrel, smashed it over his head, and then once it broke, she stabbed him in the chest with it.
Just because he didn't come through with the beer? He failed on the beer run?
He failed on the beer run.
I get that that's annoying, but goddamn.
Yeah, and the stores were closed. What the fuck is she supposed to do?
Yeah, no, that's she been ruining that boy's life for a long time, I imagine.
Absolutely. Honestly, good for him.
Show over there.
Yeah, good for him if this is the one that finally gets them, you know, to not be together. But yeah, that was pretty gnarly. Also, just real quick, I'm just going to say this. We ain't got to talk about it much. New report came out that it's allegedly this girl who was dating Puff Daddy said that P. Diddy's mom, her secret ingredient in her mac and cheese is P. Diddy's cum because she keeps a vial of it in her fridge. So anyways, on to Christopher Lee.
Good Lord.
I know, right? She said she drizzled it on top of it afterwards like it was cheese.
Like fucking royal icing or something?
Yes, exactly. Royal icing. Again, I don't know if this is real, but it's one of those situations where I'm like, man, if it ain't, why the fuck? That's such a specific thing to make up. Like, that's such a weird, specific thing to lie about.
Do you become that? What? That's his mama, right? Doing that,
yeah.
You said.
Yeah.
So it's like, has he just been it's one of those chicken and egg things where it's like, is he just a fucking sociopathic, degenerate maniac from day one? Like his mama was that, he was born that, he was nurtured that, and then that being that led to him even being able to reach the heights that he did.
Right.
Versus, you know, does that whole world and shit take people that might have a sort of inclination in that direction and make them just fucking fully go off the deep
I was
end?
about to say, because there's the other situation of like, he's so crazy, like his mom didn't do none of that. He's just so crazy that now he's like, Mom, if you ever make that mac and cheese again without putting my fucking cum on it. Like, he's so crazy that he's like making his people around him do all these wild shits because they're afraid he'll kill him or something, like he did, you know, Biggie or whatever. Or Pac. He had to have had one of them killed.
Right.
We probably don't need to get into this, or we'll have somebody show up at our goddamn house.
Oh yeah, you're right. He rolls like that, I reckon.
He does roll like that, but not if 50 Cent
to explode.
Not if 50 Cent has anything to say about it, buddy. I'll tell you that much right now. So Christopher Lee, you're familiar with the man.
Oh yeah, I know some. I definitely know some of these fun facts that I'm assuming are going to come up. So I'll not spoil them. I reckon if you know.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I would like to say about Christopher Lee, and obviously we'll have a picture of him so y'all know. That's Christopher Lee right there. Shit, Burns, you're going to have to do that. There's Christopher Lee, that guy. You remember him.
Fucking Saruman.
Yeah. Yeah. Saruman from
Dooku.
That's what I wanted to talk about for 2 seconds. Like, at the time when that movie came out, like, I knew him from Lord of the Rings or whatever, but like I didn't, I was a kid. Like I wasn't old enough to have these thoughts in my head about stories. But like looking back, it's like, man, they wasted him at Count Dooku. Like that badass motherfucker is like barely in that shit. You know what I mean? And like he's Christopher Lee, like he was already a fucking legend. Like this, that movie came out in like 2005 or something, the second one. He was already a fucking legend, and like he's just got this bullshit role as like Count Dooku. He don't barely have no lines. Bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, where would you even put that on the list of sins committed by the Star Wars prequels?
Number one.
Okay.
Wasting Christopher Lee, man.
I'm just saying it's kind of par for the course with those movies.
It is. Well, it's sort of a problem that's because they had to give Jar Jar too many scenes. Well, if they just take Jar Jar out and make Dooku more of a thing, boom. I mean, I'm a Jar Jar apologist in some regards. I've gone off on this several times, but anyways.
Anybody speaks a patois, you're on board with.
Absolutely. But anyways, Christopher Lee, absolute badass. He was born on the 27th of May in 1922 in the Belgravia neighborhood, which is a very upscale neighborhood. His dad, Jeffrey T. Lee, was a decorated
Belgravia neighborhood of where? London?
London, yeah. Yeah, London. Oh, my bad. Yeah, London. I got a show now called Belgravia.
Okay. Because Belgravia sounds like it's over there in like Potato Land in Eastern Europe.
It very much does sound like that.
I mean, I knew that he's not from there. I know that he's English, but like it sounds like Bulgaria, Transylvania.
Yes,
it sounds like that type of place to me.
Yeah, I definitely probably would have thought that if I didn't know that there was a show called Belgravia and I hadn't seen the thumbnail. Anyways, his mama be Italian. She's got Italian lineage, which was the Carnadini family. He could trace, and he claims that he can trace his ancestry straight back to Charlemagne, like Emperor Charlemagne.
Yeah,
like that's his lineage or whatever. So,
now, is that one of those things? Of course, being able to trace your ancestry directly, that's different and that hits harder. But is that one of those things where it's like
Genghis Khan?
Right, where it's like, yeah, well, technically 40% of all Europeans are direct descendants of Charlemagne. I'm not saying that. I'm asking, like, is that one of those things? That's how that works.
I thought the same thing, but I didn't look it up because as with a lot of things in here that may or may not be true, I'm just choosing to believe they are because of Christopher Lee. But yeah,
I know
you're
that
right.
people have worked
any of those like conquerors. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't there be a lot of people related to them?
People have worked all this out. It's got there's a name for the effect and stuff, but the whole numbers and mathematicality, to make a word up, of like descendants and ancestors and shit is one of those kind of like brain breaking things for me.
It's insane.
When you think about, you extrapolate, everybody's got 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, 16 great great grandparents, and then it's exponential from there. Which means if you just go back 200 years, like you are, whatever, the number of people, like if you do that for everyone that's alive and you go back just not that long, it's vastly more people than have ever actually existed in the world. And it's like, it's like because it's just because there's a lot of overlap.
Some of them are the same people.
A lot of them were the same people, but still, it's wild to me that even accounts for just how that actually works.
It's also
the same thing with like any prominent historical person. It's like you start looking at the generations of descendants, and it's like you go back far enough, and you pick somebody like was King David real, Joe? Was that a real person? He really did exist.
David was real. I mean, they gave him a little stank in the Bible that I don't think was
right. So it's like you go to like King David, and you do the numbers on how many descendants he should have now, and it's like literally everybody from King David or whatever. And that's true for all those people from back then, but it can't be true. And I don't know. Again, I know that smarter people have worked it all out and understand how all that works. But for a dumbass like me, it's all weird to think about.
But also, it's insane to think about it in a time travel sense, right? They say don't go back because, you step on a butterfly's wings, whatever the fuck. And it's like, but it really do be like that because of all those things. It's like, if you go back to my great-grandparents, it's like that whole chain of events that led to all of them was because of the right mixture of cum and egg. You know what I mean? It like you kill one of them and the whole thing's gone. There's nobody's the same. They can't be, because each ejaculate that you have is a whole different set of kids that could have been. You know what I mean? They're all different.
That too, which is like kind of a separate but adjacent wild thing to think about, is like like when people pointed out, which is true, objectively it's true. It's like you and now your son or whatever, your son Bane, is the direct result of a chain of paternal reproducers, right? Going back not just to caveman times or when humanity started, but
primordial
going back
ooze.
to the dawn of time. Like from the dawn of time until now, like
everything
it's been
happened.
An unbroken chain of reproduction that has ultimately resulted in yo baby, right? It's like if you had just decided not to have kids, you didn't have kids, you know,
the whole chain is different for a lot of people.
That chain that's been there for that long would be broken for the first time in eons, right? And it's like that's true for literally everybody that ever has kids or doesn't, but it's still fucking crazy to think about or to frame it that way, you know?
It's bananas. I mean, literally, like, because they'll show the time travel movies that, well, don't go find your old self because that could do something. It's like, dude, no, if you just accidentally killed anybody, if you just killed anybody 500 years ago, a whole lot of the world looks different, at least physically how the people look. Like, they're different people. Like, you go back and kill someone 500 years ago, come back to the present, and Keanu Reeves isn't a person. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking nuts. Oh, fuck me. I took a gummy before this episode, and it's really been hitting for me, the things you've been saying.
We'll keep going.
I've been a fan of him. His mama was in the she was an Lord, I can't talk. She was an Edwardian Society beauty. She was once a Chanel model. And his dad was in the Boer War in World War I, so he was a fancy boy, but also a badass sumbitch.
Yeah, they used to be like that. We've talked about it a lot on the show. Dude. It's like that thing. Back in the day, the rich weren't like they are now. And if they're rich now, their sons, they all get them out of war. They all dodged the draft and shit. But back then, it was like you were your ass was going to go.
Yeah, hell yeah, you
and
were.
I'm not saying they were going to put you on the front lines necessarily, but they were a hell of a lot more legit in that way back then than they are now. Fucking rich people, that's for damn sure. It's like at some point along the way, they just realized like, oh, we don't have to do this. We can just we can just not, and no one's going to make us. And they just stopped.
I know this is a fictional show, but I'm sure it was based on some reality. But like in Downton Abbey, Hugh Bonneville's character, Lord Grantham, like, he was genuinely upset when they wouldn't let him do stuff in the army. You know what I mean? Like, he was, again, I know that's fictitious, but like, he was rich, easily could have been like, I don't want to do anything. But he was like trying, and they were like, sir, you're old, whatever the fuck. And he was like bummed. Like, he was super pissed. He's like, I would have fought for king and country or whatever.
Yeah, no, they used to have like, they felt like an obligation and honor and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all gone forever.
His parent, I know you knew this, but his parents got divorced, and then his mama remarried into the what family? The Fleming family, which made author Ian Fleming, who created James Bond. They were step cousins, and
I didn't know. I thought they were just like actual
together.
No, I knew they were related. I thought they were just actual cousins. I didn't know that his mama married. I didn't know it was by marriage or whatever. Not that really matters, but
no, I too before this thought that they were actually blood related. But either way. Which, you know, a lot like he ends up going to serve, and a lot of people had thought that he based a little bit of Bond sort of on him or something. Right. And also he ended up playing a Bond villain, of course, back in the day. Probably the only person I'd say related to Ian Fleming that ever did that. He also, in his teens, he met Prince Yusupov and Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich. Do you know who these dudes are?
No.
We've talked about it before, but I wouldn't have remembered their names. Those were the dudes that assassinated Rasputin. So he met those dudes, hung out with them, and then not long after that, they killed Rasputin, and then Christopher Lee ended up playing Rasputin. So probably the only dude to ever play Rasputin that met the dudes that murdered the guy, which is crazy. This is another one that's great. In 1939, at age 17, he personally witnessed the very last public execution by guillotine in France.
Yep.
Which he had been quoted as saying that really stuck with him. But the reason that they outlawed it is because like that whole crowd was like mortified and screaming, and a lot of people were like having panic attacks and stuff. And they're like, maybe we should not cut their head off in the middle of the road, you know?
But what changed that made people go
I don't know.
oh, this is fucked up? Because again, I thought for years and years before that, I thought that public hangings were their equivalent of HBO.
I know, dude.
That's what they gathered around the old fucking, mud bog the next day to talk about what happened on their stories last night. But their stories were like a pheasant thief getting hung in front of everybody's kids. That's what I thought used to happen. I know that's what used to happen. So
I think you just answered your own question in a way. Because this was in 1939. TV and film had become a thing, and now people were being entertained by other things, and perhaps were like, I think we could do without seeing people get their heads cut off. We don't need it. We were going to the cinema. You know what I mean? Like, they had become more civilized, and somebody had the thought, like, this is some uncivilized shit. You know what I mean? It's like, 39 in France, like you're talking about when Hemingway was there. You're talking about when
Fitzgerald,
all those people, like the height of the new French wave Renaissance or whatever of that time. So like, I think it was just probably the bourgeois themselves even said, this a bit passé, you know? So that's my theory. So anyways, he saw the very, very last one of those, which is also another crazy thing to be able to say. What is it? Oh, I got two of my notes mixed up here. Nope, no, I didn't. So he joined the RAF in 1941 at age 19. That's the Royal Air Force to fight in World War II. But a medical exam discovered he had a tremendous amount of nerve damage in his optic nerve, and that disqualified him from being a pilot. So instead, he became an intelligence officer and was responsible for debriefing pilots and coordinating missions. He got really, really good at this, and thus he ends up sort of becoming a spy because it hit, that he could work in intelligence. And it didn't hurt that the motherfucker was fluent already in like 5 languages and passable in like 4. This is a good one too. He moved to Italy in 1943 with his squadron as the Allies were invading the continent, and he was on a short leave in Naples, and he just casually climbed Mount Vesuvius. He just climbed Mount Vesuvius sightseeing, and 3 days later, when he was back at his place, he watched that mountain explode. It erupted. You know what I mean?
Mount Vesuvius exploded again?
Mount Vesuvius exploded in 43. Yeah. 43.
Is it one of them things like the ones in Hawaii where they explode a little bit every so often, but it ain't that bad? Versus obviously that big one was a hell of a thing.
Dude, that's fucking crazy. Like a goddamn volcano is nuts. Can you imagine if we had to deal with them fucking here?
I would not want to deal with a volcano ever.
Hell no.
I don't want no smoke from lava. Says, obviously, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD destroyed the cities of Pompeii, Herculaneum, Oplantus, Stabiae, and other settlements. Very, very famously, where was it? It said that it also said somewhere on here, it said that it was, okay, here we go. Eruptions. Oh, Jesus Christ. So you said it was, eruptions in the 20th century. 1906 killed 100 people. It was then active from 1913 to 1944 with lava filling the crater and occasional outflows of small amounts of lava. The eruptive period ended in the major eruption of March 1944, which destroyed the villages of San Sebastiano del Vesuvio and Massa de Soma and Ottaviano. So, all right. It blew up bigger than shit in 44 again. I didn't even know that. It's just so overshadowed by the real big one. But apparently it's considered to this day one of the most dangerous volcanoes on Earth because they expect it to do that again. And it's right there on the sea in the Mediterranean, and that hits real hard for people. So people just, it's once again very densely populated.
Right.
So like if it do explode,
it wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be me.
Right. I mean, hell, I say that, dude, and I live in fucking California. We don't have
You might have an earthquake.
Right. We don't have volcanoes, but we have everybody's just waiting on the big one that effectively rends California from the rest of the continental United States. It's you know, you just live here and you're like, no.
Not during my time.
Yeah, right. And now, if anybody should not feel that way, you'd think it'd be me. You'd think it'd be me going like, yeah, if it ever is going to happen, it's going to happen while I'm here.
Well, I mean, basically every town surrounding mine has been at one point fucked up the butt by a tornado in my lifetime. Like the tornadoes just stay happening down here. Yeah. But I mean, again, where the fuck I'm gonna go? Right. You know, fuck I'm gonna go. Mm-hmm. I mean, shit. You know,
you said it.
I did. During the North African campaign, he served the Squadron 260 in the Royal Air Force. They were going across North Africa against some Allied forces, and he was, let's see, while he was there, he about got bombed and exploded. And then after he recuperated from that, he contracted malaria 6 times in a single year in Africa and made it through. No, that don't hit. He also almost got exploded by another volcano. Then he starts doing his spy stuff, which, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's said about him, and he will, when they ask him to confirm it, he'll be like, I can't, confirm or deny I was a spy. And he basically just would always say, let's just say I was in special forces and leave it at that, and people can read into it whatever they like. But there's all sorts of stuff about him being this actual James Bond dude that murdered a bunch of Nazis and was poisoning people and shit and doing like covert affairs and whatnot. I mean, he stayed murdering Nazis. He loved it. It was one of his favorite things. He called them dreadful, dreadful things. And also, all of this, he's only 24 years old when I'm saying all this.
Damn, that's so crazy, dude.
It's crazy. Like, I think it's impressive that Jason Isbell wrote Outfit when he was 24, let alone do all this shit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a different time. They used to have a different standard, you know. I mean, hell, even in the 70s, you know, people that were 32 looked 55 or whatever. It's like younger used to be older.
Younger used to be so much older. And, dude, one of my favorite things, and I'm sure you've heard this one too, but to confirm some of his badassery at least, when they were filming Lord of the Rings, there's the scene where he gets stabbed in the back. He gets stabbed in the back, and Peter Jackson is trying to direct him on how to do it. And Christopher Lee says something to the effect of, between the two of us, which one of us, do you know how a man sounds when he gets stabbed in the back? Because I do, you know. And Peter Jackson's like, what? And he's like, you're trying to make me go, oh, like that. He goes, but that's not how it goes. When you get stabbed in the back, it takes your breath away. There's no scream. He said, I've been on the giving end and I've been on the receiving end. He's like, you go, you breathe in. And so that's what they put in the cut, because he was like, this is the more, fuck your Hollywood bullshit. This is realistic.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with it.
No, right, of course.
Is that how Peter Jackson talks? He's from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, of course. That's how he talks.
Yeah, right. I can't. I mean, I've definitely heard him talk, but I can't actually remember it.
Man, I rewatched The Lord of the Rings the other day just because why not? It was Sunday, and the practical effects they use and stuff is like, that movie still looks real goddamn good. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Those movies are like, masterpieces.
They are
also truly insane on so many levels that they
did all three at once.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The fact that they did all three at once is such a roll of the dice. Peter Jackson, you know, it's been said a million times, but it's true. At the time that happened, he made a lot of like schlocky fucking horror comedy type stuff that like hit for people that watched it, but it was very culty, and he was not like the next guy or nothing like that. And it was just one, it's like they were so huge and so expensive they could have bankrupted the studio if they didn't work. It's like one of the biggest cinematic gambles of all time, and it obviously paid off like a motherfucker, but it's just truly insane that they just even exist at all.
Huge swing.
But he nailed it. Like you said, they still hold up like crazy. They look great because, I mean, they did it the right way. Also, he was a fat at the time, a fellow fat.
He was a fat.
He's one that, like, he came out the gate fatting, you know, but then he got in, he started hitting and he slimmed up and then he just never had another fight since then.
No, not as many hits.
Well, yeah, I've always got the impression with him that he's kind of like,
I'm good.
He hits about as much as he wants to.
Yeah. Well, dude, listen. You make those 3 movies, and that's all. Let's say that's all you ever did. You fucking did something. Like you're amazing. But yeah, like
King Kong
him
hit for me. I like that.
I loved King Kong. Mark was fucking talking shit about it.
Right. Yeah.
Mark was told he was in that goddamn King Kong slop, and I was like, that fucking movie was good.
Mark talks shit about everything.
Dude, he stayed talking shit about stuff, and also does not stay in his lane, if I may say so.
Okay.
He'd be talking out of bounds about stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, first off, fuck him.
All right.
He can't. I maintain he ain't got no room to talk about no fucking King Kong shit. He ain't about that life. You know what I mean? But like, he will stay talking shit about food. You know what I mean? And like, which food's good and which food ain't good. And I was like, you have no fucking frame of reference here, Donnie. You know what I mean? You're like a child. Like, he don't, like, this motherfucker is like, he's like, I only eat, Soylent cardboard so I can have abs at 60 or however fucking old he is, and then we'll be talking about like, yeah, I had some French fries cooked in duck fat, and he'll be like, oh, regular fat wasn't good enough for you, lard ass. Jesus Christ, what are you, fucking 12 years old? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know what hits. So like, maybe shut the fuck up.
There you go. Fucking clip that. Just send it to our group chat. Don't even post it. Just clip it, send it directly to Mark. Yeah, no, you're right. Peter Jackson, he made those 2. He made that Beatles documentary that's super hit for people, and he made that World War I documentary that's super hit for people. But those 2 documentaries are the only things he's made other than the Hobbit movies, which did not hit for people in the past. Almost in the past like 16 years.
Yeah, he clearly just don't want to do anything.
And before that, it was The Lovely Bones, which didn't really hit either. And then before that, it was just King Kong, and then Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
so, I mean, I'm sure he got plenty of money. Oh, you know, especially knowing if he had a back end deal with them sons of bitches.
He's got like a company. I think he like owns the visual effects company that worked on all those. What is that true or not?
Maybe. I mean, Lucas did that
WETA. That's the name of the company. Weta Digital, or Weta Workshop.
Well, then he's definitely
he
good.
does. That's what. So he owned that, and they do. Weta does a lot of like shit for a lot of movies and
Marvel stuff.
Yeah, right. All kinds of shit that hits, and he's like a co-founder and co-owner of that company. So like he don't even have to.
I wouldn't do nothing either.
Right.
I mean, there's part of me, though, we've had this conversation before of like, yeah, dude, okay. Like, if I hit one good lick, I'd be comfortable and I know, like, hey, no matter what I do, I'm good the rest of my life. It's all right. But I'd still try to make stuff that hit, like, even if it was just independent. Like, even if it's like, well, I don't have to take a paycheck from a studio, but, like, I'm going to go make my little movie because, like, it's really hard to me to like get to that level, and then you do it, and then you're like, all right, I'm good. I don't want to do it anymore. It's like to me, it's like you got there because you wanted to do it so much. You know what I mean?
He actually sold Weta to a company called Unity for $1.6 billion, or at least told his share.
Oh, so my man.
Yeah, so he don't even.
It's hard to find art in your soul after you got $1.6 billion in the bank. God damn.
I'm going to be on the boat, baby.
Shoo, wait. Yeah, but don't you think you'd write like a little novel?
Dude, books are fucking hard.
Yeah, but the thing is, you wouldn't have to. There's no deadlines. There's no anyone getting in your ass and notes. You can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you're right. Books are hard. But like, okay, screenplays. Like you wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like I like doing those things.
Yeah. No. I mean, I probably would.
There's part of me that thinks I would do more if I didn't have to somehow. You know what I mean? The pressure of having to will make you hate a thing sometimes when you don't want to hate it. But it's like, I ain't got nothing to do today. I'll just fucking write. Dude, you know what I'd do if I had $1 billion? I'd spend every day. I'd try to break the Guinness World Record of most Seinfeld spec scripts in a year. I'd write one a day. I'd just fart it out. Just any situation I could put them in. Here you go. And then just go burn it. You know what I mean? He was a badass. This was a funny thing. George Lucas, for some reason, thought like he had to explain to George Lucas that he couldn't do a backflip and that they were going to have to get someone to do a backflip for Count Dooku. This motherfucker was like 80.
Yeah. somehow makes such perfect sense to me that George Lucas would not understand that somehow. Like something that's so easy to grasp for anyone else alive that George Lucas would just be like, what do you mean? Because George Lucas, he's like, I don't know. He off. I mean, like a lot of geniuses are, but yeah, he don't. He on a different wavelength clearly than most people.
I'm not quite sure he's. You said when you said George Lucas is a genius, but the more I think about it, it's like he did one that was real good. He did one that was real good, and then kind of after that, it was just. Thank God that one hit real hard, and we just kept going back to it. You know what I mean? Because there's some of the notes I've heard of what he wanted to do.
Sure, I know. Makes you wonder how he ever hit it all. Well, some people say, or there's like a rumor or speculation, whatever, that it really was his wife at the time, who actually hit, or like because he has all these crazy, he has all these truly insane ideas, but every now and then he strikes gold, and the rumor is that like his wife at the time, like. Reined in his
knocked the shit out the way.
Right. She cleaned up his instincts and stuff. And was like, okay, well, we ain't gonna do that because that's insane. And he'd be like, yeah, okay, fine.
Okay.
But this kind of hit, and and they got divorced years and years ago, and he's just been out there lunaticking it up ever since. But I don't know how much truth there is to any of that. But I was still just gonna say, I hear you on what you said, but it's more just the world. Anybody who ever creates
crazy. Yeah.
An entire world or fictional universe like that legions and generations of fans like are obsessed with.
Yeah, you got to be a creative genius on some level.
Right.
And also American Graffiti's fucking awesome. I'm just saying, I was just being hyperbolic based on like just some of the shit that I've heard he wanted to do.
Right.
And then also what you sent us yesterday about Indiana Jones. Read that shit.
I don't have it in front of me, but there's a well-known, first of all, they never even, I don't know who allowed this to even be published like years later, but apparently they kept transcripts of their brainstorming sessions when they were working out Indiana Jones. And it was George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Lawrence Kasdan, who obviously wrote, and I think he directed Empire Strikes Back. And he's written, produced, directed a ton of great shit over the years. He's like a peer of theirs. So Larry Kasdan, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas sitting in a conference room, trying to brainstorm about what is going to become Indiana Jones. And when they're talking about his love interest, they're like, how about he comes back and they have a pre-existing relationship? And George Lucas is like, yeah, like I was thinking maybe when he was 25, 10 years ago, and he was in town, he had like a steamy affair with her when she was like, 11 or 12.
George.
But she wanted it, like she initiated it. And Steven Spielberg's like, yeah, she was real promiscuous and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, and that way there's history there, but it's, it's even handed. It's on both sides, like that type of shit. And like, there's not
I think Kasdan was like, I don't know if 12's going to play. Maybe 15.
Yeah, right. He's negotiating with. It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
I'll see you're 14 and raise you.
15. It's like, Shane Gillis says that fucking great bit about that. They had to come up with the age of consent laws at some point. And so like the congressmen, the legislators, like someone had to be the first person to throw an age out there when they were trying to determine the age of consent. He's like, I don't really want some guy.
The gentleman from Massachusetts has the floor.
And he's like, 12?
Jesus Christ.
He's like, why do you want to go first? What the fuck?
That's the bit that's made me the most jealous of any bit because I do a lot of history stuff. And I was like, God, it was right there, man. Yeah. But it's so funny. But yeah, one of those lunatics had to go, hold on, God damn it. Make her 15.
Yeah.
And now, granted, this is a
in
period
the actual
piece.
movie, the way it turned out, it's like implied that essentially that did happen, but it's not explicit exactly how old they were. But like that still did kind of get put in the movie. They just don't.
You just don't think about it.
They just don't specify the ages.
Yeah, and honestly, Karen Fisher's her name, right?
I think so. I think that's right.
Her and in my child eyes, they didn't look that far apart in
not
age.
at all. Right.
Like at all. Like it didn't. Maybe to some people they did. I'm not familiar with the hairstyles of the times. Maybe she was all teeny boppered up, but like they looked very much like they could have just been a couple. It like never crossed my mind ever. Anyways, he wants to be a Hollywood star and naturally just immediately hits at it. He was in 8 movies like his first year trying to be an actor. He played Dracula 10 times over his career, and most of them he did with no lines, like no lines at all. But that's not because there wasn't lines written. It's just that every time they'd give it to him, he would say that the script was beneath him, and he just wouldn't say anything, and he would just act with his eyes, and it hit for everybody. He was just like, no, fuck the words, I'll just go, you know. And his hit harder than whatever bullshit this sumbitch had written.
Right.
He also holds the Guinness World Record for most on-screen sword fights, which is 17. But by the end of his life, he'd appeared in over 275 films, which, if y'all don't know, that is bananas, crazy. Like, Eric Roberts is an anomaly. Like, he has said a million times. Like, if you go on his IMDb, he's got like 900 credits because he'll do like a cameo spot in all these indies because he says that's how he stays off cocaine. He just keeps working. But like, so he's an anomaly, but 275 movies in your career, even though he had a long career, like that's still fucking crazy. Only actor to have ever appeared in Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, and a James Bond film. I mean, fucking 3 insane franchises that this guy's in. He also habitually read Lord of the Rings. He read it once a year for like decades and decades of his life, which that alone is fucking impressive. 6'5". Until Vince Vaughn got his SAG card, he was the tallest leading man in Hollywood. That's a little. That's he also did all it back in well into his 80s. Aside from the flip that he can't do, he did all his own sword fights and stunts. Oldest person to ever perform a lightsaber duel on screen. Also had I'm sure you knew this, but he also released 2 symphonic heavy metal albums in his 80s. Charlemagne by the Sword and Cross and Charlemagne the Omens of Death.
Hell yeah.
And he was just that dude. He did metal, and then he ended up dying in his 90s. He was knighted, obviously, in 2009, so he's Sir Christopher Lee. BAFTA Fellowship in 2011. At the time of his death, he had the Guinness record for most film acting roles by a living actor. IQ of 140 plus, fucking genius, absolute genius. And yeah, his last film was Angels in Notting Hill. He had just finished the voice work for it, and he died at 90-3. Just certified badass son of a bitch.
Yeah, won at life, baby. Did it all.
He did it all, man. Spoke. No telling. I mean, you know, this. I don't want to reduce him to this, but there's no telling the birds he scored. You know what I mean? The God, being dude, like I feel like you learn another language, you increase your chances of getting a hot lady by 500% immediately. Just knowing another language. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I got.
You're probably right. Well, that hits. You got any airmail for us before we get out of here?
I have some real good airmail for us. People were wonderful. This one is directed at you. From Todd, says, subject line, La Jolla, not fancy? Hey, y'all, La Jolla is super fancy of San Diego. Not sure if Trae was trying to be smug, but that's where the richest people live around here. White-collar criminals, La Jolla. Guy that defrauded the Navy out of millions by bribing Navy officers with fancy parties and hookers, put on house arrest in La Jolla until he escaped to Mexico. Look up Fat Leonard. Fat Leonard. They are so fancy that they are trying to secede from the city of San Diego so their taxes don't go to the poor. Jesus. And Trae, we don't have to worry about squirrels in Chula Vista to the south because the coyotes roam free through our neighborhood, snatching them up. Oh, we're not worried about squirrels. We have these nice coyotes that take care of them. Bitch, give me the squirrels.
Give me the squirrel. I want the squirrels. Give me the squirrel. Bitch, give me the squirrels. Okay, I don't remember. That clearly happened at a plugging dates part at the very end of an episode. I can tell you with 100% certainty, without going back and listening to it, I was either being, I thought, very explicitly sarcastic by referring to La Jolla as not fancy or whatever I said, or you misunderstood me because I'm going to Napa Valley and La Jolla, and in between is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. And I've been kind of, having a little fun with that dynamic where I imply that Tulsa is the fanciest of those three places or whatever, that type of thing. So it was one of those two, I can guarantee you, because I've been to La Jolla multiple times. I'm doing the Comedy Store there again, done it before. I went there. I took my family there. We stayed there. I know it's fancy. I know it's beautiful. So I definitely was just kidding. But Fat Leonard does hit.
One thing I'd like to say is that was earlier when I gave you the woman that stabbed her husband with a squirrel. That was brought to us by airmail from Jennifer Michaels. Wanted to shout out Jennifer Michaels. Thank you for the help there. Subject line, Eastern Conference Finals and Real Madrid. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals was played in Indianapolis. While it is taken for granted that several notable people would be in the wood in New York, Chalamet, Spike Lee, etc., I spotted Real Madrid star Aurelian Tchouameni courtside in Indianapolis. I tried to explain to my girlfriend how wild this was, and she attempted to relate it to the time we saw Terrence Howard in person at a Grizzlies game. I struggled to explain to her the vastness of the ocean of those two examples stood from one another. Aurelian plays for Real Madrid. He speaks French. He's just here to floss and bang hoes. And then I had to tell her the exact same thing for Terrence. So what are you going to do? Caleb.
All right, Caleb. Thanks for that. It's cool. Saw somebody that hits at a basketball game. That's fun. Yeah.
That's it.
I get the point. It's weird to see a European football star in fucking Indianapolis of all places, but people like their big sporting events.
Fuck Mind Diamonds and fuck the De Beers family.
Sure.
This person has sent this before. Apparently, I didn't see it. I'll send it again since Cho and his sister talked about diamonds. We sure did.
Okay.
I forgot we did. The De Beers family is the only reason diamonds are fancy. Being that y'all are better at research than I am, I trust you take a deeper dive into this and maybe make it an episode. But the De Beers family has owned or does own every mined diamond on Earth, and their control over them is what makes them fancy. That's why I'd be the opposite of that dumb bitch mentioned, a dumb bitch me and Kirby were talking about, who got broke up with because her almost future fiance bought her a lab-grown diamond. Anyways, in the spirit of all things fancy, I think it's worth a deep dive. Love you all in the Skuniverse, and you keep me sane. Anyways, stay fancy, motherfuckers. Appreciate that. And one more. This is from our buddy Earl. Subject line, Jim Thorpe, Long Island, and the name Earl. Hi, Corey and Trae. Insert sentence about how much my wife and I love y'all's work. I saw Trae in Brooklyn last year. Squirrels can't love, blah, blah, blah. If Corey is looking for history ideas, I suggest him Jim Thorpe. We definitely know about Jim Thorpe. He's probably the greatest athlete in U.S. history, if not world modernish history. You could argue that he is single-handedly responsible for the popularity of the Olympics and professional football. And apart from his athletic prowess, his life was largely tragic. He was sent out. I actually don't want to read any of this stuff because I do want to now do an episode on Jim Thorpe. But he also had 2 submissions for Venn diagram. The first is Long Island, which I think is think that's a good one.
Because they got Montauk and shit out there at the end of it, which is fancy as fuck, and the Hamptons and stuff.
Yep.
But then all kinds of fucking spaghetti trash in between Manhattan and there.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And he says, my second Venn diagram item is actually my own name, the name Earl. You have a no good redneck trash character in a show, movie, or song. Chances are his name is Earl, but the name Earl is literally taken from a rank of the English nobility. What name is more trash/fancy than that? Couldn't agree more.
I had in my bit about how Europeans ain't no better than us or whatever. I had a line. It's like they're all fucking named Earl, or they're all called Earl. I can't.
They're all called Earl. Yeah,
it was something like that. But anyway, that's.
Well, there you go.
Fun. That hits for me. Long Island would be a good one to talk about. But speaking of that general area, I'll be in New York City soon, next week. In fact, Manhattan at City Winery. On one of them sides, y'all got upper east, upper west, lower something. It's Summers City Winery. It's a good hitting place on June 11th and June 15th. I'm up in the suburbs in Stamford, Connecticut at New York Comedy Club. So please come see me at both those shows. Tushar Singh's going to be with me, Cho.
Nice.
The Indian outlaw himself. After that, end of June, Wine Country and Napa. And then, like I said earlier, we got Tulsa, we got La Jolla, we got a bunch of other places coming up in the near future. So go check out TraeCrowder.com and get your tickets to come see me. And also watch the latest special Trash Day if you haven't seen it already. It's completely different material than I'm doing on the road. So make it happen.
June 19th through the 22nd, you can come see me in the Bay Area in Sunnyvale, California at Rooster Teeth Feathers. Also, then after that, I'm going to be in Fort Worth, Texas on June 26th, and then Lexington, Kentucky on August 14th, and Charlottesville, Virginia on August 15th. CoreyRyanForrester.com for those tickets. And also, if you want to hear me read you to sleep singing Mark Twain, and I think you will really like it, everybody else does, you can go to WeLoveCorey.com and check out my new podcast, Public Domain Sleepy Time Theater, where all the episodes are before they go out to the public. Thank you. That would hit for me. And I love you. And stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Ski-way.
Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.